Don't forget to donate to the hashtag Daytona Dream 2019 GoFundMe for your chance in January to win one of these 3 Kevin Harvick diecast. Now enjoy the video. Finishing up the race weekend here from the Texas World Super Speedway. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to race number 12 of Division 2 of the NNSCRA Skittles Super Speedway Series as we get ready for 30 laps of racing. We had a very exciting race in yesterday's Division 1 event. Ran the 30 laps clean and green, and it came down to pit stops. But we also found out that this pit road is just as treacherous as the racetrack itself. As a matter of fact, it was the pit road that actually had drivers finish off the lead lap, and one driver, Philip Goldberg, finished behind the wall. It was not any incident on the racetrack itself. So these drivers, they might have to think about pit road as the monster to tame here today rather than the racetrack itself. Another thing that we saw in yesterday's event that I really liked was we saw that both lanes worked. We saw passes be able to be made on the inside line. You really had to have a drafting partner for it to work, but we also saw drivers be able to swing around the outside line and make passes for position. So this is a multi-groove track, and that is what brings about really exciting Super Speedway Series racing. So definitely glad that we had this track replace Bermuda on the schedule. On the pole position, increasing the streak to 24 is the Ford of Keith Batson. Batson was the fastest in round 1 of qualifying and then went on to be the fastest in round 2 of qualifying, sitting on the pole position for the first time this season. He will start alongside of James Shelly. Now for Keith Batson and James Shelly, both of them, they want to win, but both want to win for 2 entirely different reasons. For James Shelly, he wants a win to get himself out of the cellar of the point standings. For Keith Batson, he's 16th in points. A win could lock himself up a spot in the playoffs, but we have had 11 races and 11 different race winners. We'll fill you in on what the championship chase grid looks like in just a minute. Let's get the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to very quickly give you the battle for the overall points lead in terms of drivers battling for the regular season championship. It still is a huge gap from Fury Gamington back to now second place in the standings, and that is Jeff Scott. So really, we're not going to focus as much on who's how many points back, but we'll give you what the top 10 look like for the overall standings. It's Gamington, 75 points over Jeff Scott. William Flickinger, 3rd. Nathan Stapleton, 4th. Last week's winner, Alex Benyacko, now up to 5th. John Andrews, 6th. Then Karson Gum, Kyle Langeland, Jack Hallec, and Michael Norman. That is your top 10. Now, in terms of what your playoff grid looks like, as I said, 11 races, 11 different race winners here in Division 2. Right now, those 8 spots in the playoffs would belong to Fury Gamington, Jeff Scott, Alex Benyacko, John Andrews, Eric Sadler, Charles Sandfer, Nathan Ormond, and right now Vince Almariego would hold the final spot, 3 points over Daytona winner Caleb Farrell. Those are the drivers right now that are in the top 30 in the point standings. Coming into this race, we have 2 of our former winners outside the top 30 in points. William Brock is 31st in points, 2 points out of 30th in the standings, and Sedale Salera, 34th in the standings. He is, I believe, 9 points out of 30th in the standings. So both drivers still have an opportunity here today to move back into the top 30 in points, but right now we have 3 drivers that are out of the playoff grid that have wins this season, and if we have another different driver go to victory lane here today, it's going to get even more and more hotly contested for those final few spots in this season's playoff grid. But here we go, Texas World. How will it play into the playoff grid? We're going to find out as Keith Batson gets us underway at Texas World. Let's roll. And boy, he did not get a good jump. Shelly did. Shelly around the outside. Can he clear for the lead? Yes, he will, but now Patrick Smith's going to try and challenge to the inside as they are 3 wide, 2 rows, now 3 rows deep. Patrick Smith there in that 58. His teammate Jay Jefferson went to victory lane in yesterday's Division 1 race, as he will now stretch out to the lead. William Brock now going for second place, 3 wide. They're 3 wide for fourth. That's McIntire, Rowe, and Voyles on the top side. Voyles with a big run as they're going to go 4 wide. Karson Gum's going to make the move into turn 1. They had 4 wide in yesterday's Division 1 race, but they settled it out. Let's see if they can settle it out here. Looks like they will settle it to 3 wide before they even exit turn 2. So very smart on the part of all those drivers up here towards the front. As Patrick Smith continues to lead, the battle is on for second. That's William Brock to the inside, Keith Batson to the outside. Now, if these drivers continue to race side by side, what with the side force, it's going to keep these drivers from advancing forward and challenging Patrick Smith for the lead. 4 wide further back again. I think that's Karson Gum back down on the bottom once more. No, that's Jordan Lopez actually in the 45. He's got Fitzwater in the middle. Llamas also there. Llamas going to be able to tuck up in front just of Josh Drake as they settle it back to 3 wide in the mid-pack. Move back up towards the front, though. They've settled it out for second, third, and fourth. Batson into third, Shelly to fourth. Brock settles back in fifth. Now Shelly to third and Brock back to fourth. Battle is on for fifth place between a couple of blue ovals. McIntire on the bottom, Voyles up top. Jack Hallec there to offer the drafting help to McIntire. Fury Gamington up top side for the Jelly Belly Ford of Daniel Voyles. Looks like that outside line's going to prevail as Voyles will get around McIntire. Now Gamington trying to do the same, but now he doesn't have any friends on the outside line. It's a couple of Fords down below him, McIntire and Hallec, so Gamington, no friends for the guy who comes in as the points leader. They're all trying to get points on him rather than give points to him, and so he's not going to have very many people willing to work with him on the racetrack in the upcoming few weeks. It's not impossible for someone to close in a 75 point gap in 4 races, but obviously you got to have a lot of help to do it. As Tristen Allen 3 wide there with Karson Gum and Alexander Rowe. Gum's going to clear Rowe, but now goes around the outside trying to get the spot back from Tristen Allen. The Disco Toyota of Simon Bloomfield in the mix there, and we've got a battle for the lead possibly. Keith Batson has run down Patrick Smith, and he is on his back bumper for the top spot. Shelly is there as well. Brock, Voyles, McIntire, Gamington now with all getting single file. We've now got a 7-car choo-choo train up here at the front of the field. Now, one thing that we saw in the Division 1 race, if Keith Batson's going to make a move on Patrick Smith for the lead, he needs James Shelly to go down there with him. If Shelly swings to the outside line when Batson makes the move, there is no way Batson's going to be able to clear Patrick Smith on his own. Apparently with the way the grip levels are here, that inside line, you kind of have to check up a little bit in the center of the corner if you're by yourself. It gets tight, and that allows the momentum on the outside line to swing around you for position. Saw right there where Keith Batson had to check up a little bit, and that slowed the momentum of Shelly. That now drops him back into the clutches of William Brock for third. Shelly, who was looking like he was going to have a decent outing last week at Toddring, got caught up in a wreck when drivers were on the apron trying to come to pit road, and they came back up the track and collected him. And now he's under fire from William Brock, so Shelly's just looking for a good run. James Shelly coming into this race only has 1 top 10, no top 5s. His average finishing position so far for the year is 30th place. Got a battle up here in the top 5. Levi McIntire with help from Fury Gamington. That's another driver in McIntire who's down there in the point standings. He's 38th in the points coming into this race. His average finishing position is 26th. So you've got a lot of drivers up here like Shelly, like McIntire. They're just trying to get a good finish. I don't even know if they're really going for a win to try and get into the playoffs. They're just trying to get a win to put a little bit of a smile on the face of what's been a miserable season for them. Meanwhile, as we move back up towards the front, Keith Batson about a car length and a half off the bumper of Patrick Smith. James Shelly's got William Brock with him. Those two are pretty close together, so they might be trying to get a run on Batson for second. If the Division 1 race is anything to go by, we're going to see these drivers start to make their pit stops somewhere between laps 21 to 23. Most drivers hit pit road around lap 22 in the Division 1 race, at least towards the front. And like I said, we're seeing them here on the racetrack. They're now single file all the way back to about the top 10. So there's really not a lot of double wide racing going on here, except for this battle for third that we're looking at. So pit road is, I think, going to be the deciding factor of who's going to win this race. I mean, case in point, J.J. Roberts in the Division 1 race was the leader when the pit stops began, and he got involved in an incident on pit road and finished the race multiple laps down. So it is possible to lose or win the race on pit road at this racetrack, as side by side between a couple of struggling drivers, Shelly and McIntire. This is a battle for 4th place, and Shelly will hold on to the position for the moment. Tristen Allen cracking the top 10. Tristen Allen almost made it into the top 10 for the starting lineup. I think he qualified 12th for this race. Tristen climbing his way through the standings. 5 spots picked up last week at Toddring, now 14th in the points coming into this race. And right behind him, Karson Gum's been very consistent as well. Karson comes into this race 7th in points. Had a little bit of a hiccup last week, dropped 3 spots, but still top 10 in points. And right behind him, Jeff Scott. Gotta hate seeing that 10 car up ahead of him. Jeff Scott now 2nd in the point standings, 75 points back from Fury Gamington coming into this race, and right now he will have lost another 5 points if they finish where they are right now, because Gamington's running currently in 6th, and Scott just outside the top 10 and 11th. We got some battling back here just outside the top 10. This is, I believe, for the 15th position. Jordan Lopez, John Andrews, Sedale Salera, Zachary Fitzwater all battling here. Sedale Salera trying to make his way back into the top 30 in points. Right now scored in 17th and came into this race 9 points behind the cut line of 30th in the standings. William Brock, also outside the top 30 in points, was 2 points back from 30th in the standings, and of course he's up here inside the top 5, currently in 3rd place. So both drivers doing a good job of trying to make themselves at least get back up into the top 30 in points by the conclusion of this race. Battle for 2nd, William Brock to the inside of Keith Batson. Now Shelly running the middle groove, not really offering drafting help to either lane. So they may stay side by side down the back straightaway here. Nope, Brock not going to be able to get to the left rear quarter panel going into 3. Now William Brock's running up here in the top 5. Sedale Salera is up inside the top 20. What about the 2 drivers that are near the cut line in terms of drivers that have wins this season? You've got Vince Almariego and Caleb Farrell who fit that. Almariego is 13 points ahead of the cut line, and only 10 points ahead of the cut line is Caleb Farrell. Now, where are those 2 guys running? Because we haven't really seen them up towards the front. We'll have to find out quickly, because it looks like Keith Batson might have thoughts about taking the lead back again. Let's find, there's Almariego. He's back in 35th, so he might be in danger of falling out of the top 30. And what about Farrell? There's Farrell. He's back in 28th. So we could see Brock and Salera move back in, and we could see Almariego and and Caleb Farrell fall out. Now Patrick Smith, the car we're looking at here, he comes into this race 33rd in points. He's only 6 points outside of 30th in the standings. If he wins here today, he'd be up in the conversation. And I mean, we ended up leaving the Division 1 race yesterday with 3 drivers very closely battling for that final 8th position in the playoff grid. We could have as many as 5-6 drivers battling for the 8th position in the playoff grid leaving today if we have a driver like Patrick Smith go to victory lane. Looking just to see where Shelly is in terms of how far back from 30th in the points. I mean, it's obviously quite a ways. He is about 90 points back, so he would need a win and a miracle as Keith Batson. Oh, no help. He had a move. Oh, wait, William Brock's going down there with him. Is Brock going to go 3 wide for the lead? Shelly might think 4 wide. No, he won't be able to, but Brock is going to go 3 wide for the top position. Can't clear Keith Batson. Batson still side by side with Smith, though. What a battle that turned into. It was single file, looking rather boring up here. And just like that, we've got a lead change. Keith Batson back to the point. Now Brock looking for 2nd. Shelly there for 3rd. McIntire for 4th, and we're closing in on the fuel window. 3 wide. Here comes McIntire for a spot on Shelly and Smith. I think these drivers are realizing we're closing in on when they'll have to hit pit road, and they want to pick up as many spots on track as they can just in case they run into trouble on pit lane. See if anyone from this lead pack's going to hit pit road this time, as now Batson to the lead. Brock to 2nd, Smith to 3rd. Battle for 4th here between McIntire and Shelly. And nobody from the lead pack's going to come to pit road, it doesn't look like. Not yet, anyway. Somewhere in the next 2 to 3 laps is when we'll see them hit pit road. Is now Patrick Smith trying to get back to the front. Goes for 2nd on William Brock. In last night's race, the pole sitter finished bridesmaid in the race. Right now, Keith Batson's trying to go coast to coast from pole to win. Keith Batson was the fastest in round 1 of qualifying, fastest in round 2 of qualifying. He actually gapped 2nd place in both sessions by almost a full 1/10 of a second. So we know his car was good in the draft. And he proved it here by swinging around and taking the race lead back from Patrick Smith. Now the question is, can he hold on to it? He lost the race lead to Patrick Smith earlier on. But can he keep the spot now? And we're going to see these drivers hitting pit road maybe this lap. Patrick Smith's coming in. 58 is indicating he's coming to pit road. He'll give up the 3rd position to do so. Karson Gum also on the pit lane. Number of the leaders, though, still staying out. Who's going to have the strategy that's going to get them this win? We saw Jay Jefferson in yesterday's race. He was able to have about a 3-second lead when the pit stop cycled around. Will we have a closer battle than that when the pit stop cycle around in this one? We are still green. And Batson's coming to pit road. William Brock is going to come as well, so will James Shelly. Levi McIntire is going to get a bonus point for leading the lap as he's going to stay out. Tristen Allen and Jack Hallec also staying out. Maybe feeling coming down a less congested pit road is going to help them be able to gain more positions. McIntire was, I believe, in 4th when these pit stops began, so can he gain 3 spots by staying out on track an extra lap? We're going to have to wait and see. I think he's going to have to pit this time. I don't think anyone can stretch it any further than this. And he will indeed hit pit road, as will Tristen Allen and Jack Hallec. Trey Wright also stayed out an extra lap. And there is Karson Gum, who got out ahead of Patrick Smith, so he might be the guy to watch right now to see where he comes out in relation to Keith Batson and William Brock. Whoa, they were double wide coming off pit road there. That was dangerous. Sedale Salera going to lose a couple of spots as a result of that. And looks like Shelly's going to come out ahead of Karson Gum, as will Alex Gray and Jeff Scott. Keith Batson, there he is. I think Batson might cycle around the lead depending on where Levi McIntire is. Where's the 99? Tristen Allen still sits on pit road. There's McIntire. And Jack Hallec got out ahead of him. So Hallec might cycle around to the lead if Batson doesn't run these guys down. There is Batson. And right now we've got Fords 1, 2, and 3. As Rob Evans, I think, has some damage. I think he might have been involved in an incident on pit road. Yeah, rear end damage on his 65. James Shelly, I think, is going to cycle to 5th behind Jeff Scott, who's 4th. Batson, I think, is 3rd. McIntyre's 2nd. I think Halleck's going to be the race leader. And William Brock apparently was one of the drivers that suffered the ill fate of pit road, trying to work his way back into the top 30 in the points, and he is not going to get the finish he was looking for. This is going to be interesting, too, because, as I said, in yesterday's race, Jay Jefferson had 3 seconds over 2nd place. When the pit stop cycled around, only 1 second right now separating McIntire from Jack Hallec, and we're going to have 4 laps still to go when they hit the line. So plenty of time for McIntire and Batson to run down Jack Hallec. And how about Jack Hallec? We didn't really even talk about him today. 9th in the point standings coming into this race, and he's got himself in the hunt for a win here today at Texas World. But how about the Fords? 1, 2, and 3 right now. And that is over 2.5 seconds back to the 4th place battle, which right now is being held by Jeff Scott. Kind of curious of who got involved in incidents on pit road. Nathan Ormond, Zachary Fitzwater, William Brock all sitting there. Got damage on Adam Garcia. Alex Benyacko, last week's winner's got, I guess, some damage. He's back here. Benny Watson's got damage. I think Tristen Allen got involved in something. And so did the points leader, Fury Gamington. Scott is up in the top 5. Gamington's way back here. Battle for the lead is over. Batson just took it. So there's going to be a gap that's going to be cut down between Jeff Scott and Fury Gamington for the points lead. But right now we're watching this battle for the race win. And Hallec just lost a ton of ground to the top 2. McIntire needs him to get back up here, because if Levi McIntire is going to make a move on Keith Batson for the win, he needs someone to help with drafting. And Jeff Scott and James Shelly have closed in all of a sudden. They might still have a shot, along with Alex Gray. They closed in a lot quicker than I expected. Smith and Gum also maybe have a shot, but there's going to be 1.5 laps to go, so it better happen quickly. Levi McIntire, is he going to try and make a move on Keith Batson, or is he content to ride? Batson, if he wins, he might get a playoff spot. If McIntire wins, he's going to make his way towards top 30 in the points. White flag displayed, 1 more lap to go. Scott just took 3rd, Shelly just took 4th, trying to run down the top 2. They are over a second back, though. I don't know if they've got enough time. If McIntyre's going to make a move, he's got to make it down here in 3, but I don't know if he's got enough momentum to be able to get to the inside of Keith Batson. Caution is out. Doesn't matter. We're racing back to the checkered flag. Keith Batson, Levi McIntire. Batson's going to go coast to coast. He gets the pole, he gets the win, and takes the checkers here today at Texas World. What a battle there at the end, and more drivers in the conversation for this win than I was originally expecting. And Keith Batson dominates in round 1 of qualifying, dominates in round 2 of qualifying, and gets the job done here in the race. It's his first win of the season. Batson, who was 16th in points coming into this race, has just put himself into the conversation for one of this season's playoff positions. The former Hershey's Cup Series champion looking to add yet another NNSCRA championship to his resume. Not sure what the caution came out for, but it came out after the leader had taken the white flag, so it did not matter in the outcome of the finish. So I don't think we're going to bother to look back and see what it was. But Keith Batson will take home the win. McIntire, who wanted the win, but I'm certain he's not going to be disappointed with a second place, as that is his first top 5 of the year so far. He'll get second place. Jeff Scott is going to maybe be the guy to challenge Fury Gamington in the final regular season race in Orlando for the overall points lead, the regular season championship. He's going to finish the day out in 3rd. James Shelly, a great run for the guy who came in dead last in points. He'll get 4th. And Patrick Smith's going to bring it home in 5th. Karson Gum was 6th, so another driver that's top 10 in points with a solid run. Alex Gray will be 7th. Jack Hallec, he was up there. He was had a shot to maybe win this race, and all of a sudden he faded back to 8th, so not sure what happened with him. Trey Wright will get 9th, and how about Vince Almariego? Remember before the pit stops we were talking about he was in danger of maybe falling out of the top 30 in points? He gets a last-minute top 10 finish. John Andrews brings it home in 11th. Jordan Lopes 12th. Flickinger, Llamas, and Simon Salera complete the top 15. How about Caleb Farrell, another driver that was in danger of falling out of the top 30 in points if he didn't have a good run? He gets 16th, not too bad. Langeland, Turner, Young, and Sandfer complete the top 20. And then you look down here. Here's where it starts to get really interesting. Obviously, we talked about Fury Gamington. He'll finish 27th. So Jeff Scott's going to cut into that points lead by about 24, 25 points heading into next week. And then you look at Sedale Salera. He was trying to make his way back into the top 30 in points, 29th here today. You've got Alex Benyacko, who just took the checkered flag last week, 5th in points, going to finish several laps down in 24th. And William Brock, he was only 4 points out of 30th in the standings. A top 5 would have had him back in the conversation for a playoff spot, and he's going to finish in 36th. And Nathan Ormond, also another driver that needed a good run, as he's kind of been free falling through the points lately. He dropped down to 20th in points last week after tottering, and he's going to drop even more. Our Dragonette winner finishes in 37th, and 3 cars finished out of the race. I'm pretty certain it was due to incidents on pit road that you guys saw courtesy of the NSCRA split cam. Daniel Voyles, who had a great qualifying effort here this week. Same for Alexander Rowe, and we may end up, let me look and see, we could possibly have a new driver in the cellar of the point standings, that being Jake Galloway. He came into this race roughly about 40 points ahead of James Shelly, so I don't know if Galloway or Shelly are going to be dead last in points heading next week, but obviously a tough season continues for the driver of the 23 car. But that is going to do it here for this race at Texas World. Keith Batson becomes the 12th different winner this season, and now has he put himself in one of the 8 playoff positions for Division 2? Only time will tell. But that's going to do it from Texas World for today's race. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We've shown you your full 50 results. These are your overall point standings heading into next week's race at St. Joltes Super Speedway. You won't want to miss it. Congrats to Keith Batson, who goes coast to coast here today. Pole to win. You've been watching a production of the NCRA Offline Racing at its best.